Thank you for joining us. You're watching Real News TV for Monday, July 26, 2010. Instances of police brutality continue to be on the rise as Homeland Security federalizes and militarizes local police. In San Francisco, police smash a woman's head into the concrete, nearly killing her. In Loganville, Georgia, a man is beat up by the police after having arrived home to find his stepson had committed suicide.
Says police made one of his family's darkest days even worse by attacking, then arresting him.
Kenny Dixon has black eyes and scrapes on his face. Injuries, he says, that are in addition to his broken heart. The Loganville man found his stepson Wednesday dead inside his garage. The 24-year-old had committed suicide.
I tried to do CPR on him, and I couldn't bring him back.
When police and emergency crews arrived, Dixon says paramedics took over the rescue effort.
One of the police officers came up behind me, grabbed my arm, and said, "You need to sit down." Why he had an attitude, I don't know. But I jerked my arm away from him, and I told him, "Don't touch me." That's all I said to the man, and he tackled me.
Dixon says other officers then joined in. 2 allegedly held him down. 2 others punched him in the face. Across the street, Lisa Neighbors says she woke up to screaming and looked outside.
They were just wailing on him, punching at him, You know, it was awful.
I didn't swing at him. I didn't cuss him. I didn't do anything to deserve what they did to me.
How could Loganville do that? How could they beat up on somebody who just came home and found their son hung?
Radley Balko, author of Overkill, talks about the rise of paramilitary police raids in America.
You have talked both before you joined Reason at Cato in your excellent study Overkill about the paramilitarization of American police, the use of SWAT tactics for everyday operations. Give us a quick sketch. What's been going on in terms of the kind of roiding up of American police force?
Well, I mean, I think as the politicians have sort of really stepped up the drug war rhetoric, starting, I guess, probably in the early 1980s, the war aspect of that has become very literal. We've seen a federal program where the Pentagon is giving away military equipment to local police departments, and literally millions of pieces of military equipment, everything from guns and tanks and armored personnel carriers and helicopters to more mundane things like office equipment, has been transferred from the Pentagon to these local police departments across the country. A good example is the Richland County, South Carolina sheriff has a armored personnel carrier that has a 360-degree rotating turret with a belt-fed machine gun that shoots 50 caliber ammunition. This is an urban area. The U.S. military has restrictions on when they use 50 caliber. It'll go through 4 or 5 city blocks before it stops. This is sort of an example of the kind of insanity I think that we're looking at, the way this sort of war imagery has been implemented.
On Thursday, in Vancouver, Canada, a disabled woman is pushed to the ground by police.
The images are disturbing. The very people in charge of public safety are caught on tape pushing a woman to the ground. Tonight, the victim is speaking out. Sandy has cerebral palsy and walks with a limp. She says she was just heading home when she encountered the officers.
I asked them, "Excuse me, please," and I told them 3 times I have a disability.
As Sandy lay on the ground, confused about what happened, she says the officers did nothing to help.
Walked away. They were already down the block.
Vancouver police are now looking into the incident.
The reason the officer took that action and why no duty of care was delivered to the woman is now under investigation.
Advocacy groups for Vancouver's downtown east side say they're shocked, but not surprised.
I guess it's barely a minute-long video clip of what goes on down here, and this happens all the time.
I was horrified, but not surprised, because I've seen it before. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Sandy says her illness makes it difficult to walk, and she does fall sometimes, but this fall here was at the hands of the Vancouver police.
The Reality Report reported this week that at a Tampa, Florida airport, a naked body scanner was used to strip search a 12-year-old girl.
Over the past few weeks, we have reported on the growing abuses by the Transportation Security Administration in relation to naked body scanners at American airports. But never before has it pertained to a preteen girl. Over the weekend, a 12-year-old girl flying from Tampa International Airport to Baltimore, Maryland, was pulled out of the primary security line and taken to a full-body scanner. Her guardian on the trip was not asked permission to conduct a search. The girl's parents are outraged and are looking into legal action, adding that they couldn't understand why such a young girl would be scanned for weapons. Certainly no one would approve of a 12-year-old girl getting strip searched. Opponents of the devices question how the advanced technology is any different.
In First Amendment news, the Department of Homeland Security announced a new policy that prevents reporters from getting close enough to cover the effects and cleanup of the Gulf oil spill.
Despite what Admiral Thad Allen promised about transparency just nearly a month ago.
I have put out a written directive, and I can provide it for the record, that says the media will have uninhibited access anywhere we're doing operations, except for two things: if it's a security or a safety problem. That is my policy.
Well, the Coast Guard today announced new rules keeping photographers and reporters and anyone else from coming within 65 feet of any response vessel or booms out on the water or on beaches. What this means is that oil-soaked birds on islands surrounded by boom, you can't get close enough to take that picture. Shots of oil on beaches with booms, stay 65 feet away. Pictures of oil-soaked booms uselessly laying in the water because they haven't been collected like they should, you can't get close enough to see that. And believe me, that is out there. But you only know that if you get close to it, and now you can't without permission. Violators could face a fine of $40,000 and Class D felony charges. What's even more extraordinary is that the Coast Guard tried to make the exclusion zone 300 feet. So this is the exact same logic that federal wildlife officials used to prevent CNN on 2 occasions from getting pictures of oiled birds that have been collected, which are obviously deeply disturbing. Pictures of oiled gulls that we just happened to catch. Suddenly we were told after that day we couldn't catch it anymore. So keeping prying eyes out of marshes, away from booms, off the beaches is now government policy. Those of us down here trying to accurately show what is happening, we are not the enemy.
As outrage over the unconstitutional health care mandate contained in the Obama health care legislation continues, lawmakers in Missouri have a message for the federal government.
Our U.S. Constitution is small on purpose because the function of the federal government is supposed to be small. Federal government, Barack Hussein Obama, and your liberal ilk, leave us alone.
Missouri will be the first state to put the Health Care Freedom Act to a vote. Next Tuesday, voters will go to the polls and decide if Missouri law should be changed to make the health care mandate illegal. The legislation's sponsor, Senator Jane Cunningham, explains,
The federal government has passed a law, and that law says that they are going to dictate an insurance plan that you are going to be forced to purchase with your own money. And if you don't, you will be fined on your tax return. And if you do not pay that fine, you will be subject to imprisonment. Now, this doesn't sound like America, but that is basically what the federal law does. Now, the Missouri legislature did not stand idly by and just let this happen. Like 42 other states that introduced a bill similar to ours, we stood up and we said, as you cannot mandate, you cannot fine Missourians, and if you do, we are going to protect our citizens. And what we have done, passed a proposal that will then let citizens like you ratify at the polls on August the 3rd. August the 3rd, many people have called the most important vote in the entire nation. It will be the first vote in the entire nation on Obamacare.
Thank you for watching Real News TV. Please share this video and join us again next time for more Real News TV.